Hi, I'm Garrett Ludwig. Welcome to the first of two profiles on the hazards of using statistical data when planning an office, particularly when establishing a budget. Basically, if you rely on statistics as a guide when planning an office, you are likely to become one of those very statistics. Consider this. Are you an average dentist? I'm betting the response would be absolutely not. I'm different or better because. So why would you want to follow statistical data that groups you in with others? Here's an example that was inspired by a conversation I had with Linda Miles, during which she shared another of her pearls of practice management wisdom. Her client was steadfast in his intent to constrain his overhead to align with the statistical 50% average. In her characteristically direct and succinct manner, she posed the query, would you rather retain 50% of a $500,000 practice or 40% of a $1 million practice? The bottom line is not how much you spend, it's how much you make. That postulate is grounded on proven business principles, not statistics. Consider this example. We often encounter reluctance by clients to invest in developing an office in a leased space. Their plea, I don't own it, so I don't want to improve the owner's space at my expense. The fact is that the owner couldn't care less about the fit out. The only beneficiary of the investment is the dental tenant. Consider for a moment that department chain stores clamor for space in a mall despite the inordinately high lease rates and CAM charges. In some cases, they must even pay a percentage of their gross receipts back to the mall. But as long as their bottom line continues to grow, they simply consider the associated expenses as the cost of doing business. The same holds true when you're planning a dental office. That's not to say you should spend recklessly, but keep in mind that underspending can ultimately be more costly than overspending. All investment decisions must be predicated on an expected return on investment, ROI. To that end, you must establish and adhere to a budget, but each line item needs to be weighed individually to determine its respective value and its projected return on investment. For example, we designed an office for an 11-chair prosthetics practice in Boston, Massachusetts. Their lab space was 4 times that of most statistical averages and was equipped comparatively to that of any commercial lab and staffed by a solo lab technician. 10 years later, the practice is thriving, and the space and equipment continue to support the revenue stream of the practice. The lab alone is a profound profit center. Also, the additional upfront expenses have long since been amortized by the associated day-to-day costs remain negligible. So here's my advice. Study the statistics, and if possible, research the results. It is likely that you will discover that to follow the words of the alleged soothsayers will only serve to limit your potential. Then itemize, measure, twice, and calculate. In the words of Albert Einstein, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. Don't become a statistic.